Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. Welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to Alexander the Great. The last one, part 4. It's definitely been an awesome ride, an amazing adventure, a lot of fun. Just a bunch of coolness and awesomeness, and I don't even know what to say, so I'm saying I'm being retarded. But yes, we're on to part 4 here. Bittersweet because it's awesome because it's a finale, but then it's the ending of a great series. Uh, Alexander's on top of the world. He's just destroying. Just beat the King of Kings, and now he's continuing west. Conquer some more. That also means that his death is coming. We all know that's coming. So that's gonna be the sad part. About the I guess the end of this video, but. I'm definitely excited, and sorry I'm just a little out of it because I just woke up and really wanted to do this video. So let's jump right into it, guys. Before we do, please hit that like and subscribe, guys. Thank you very much. And yeah, I believe after this series, I'm gonna be jumping on to Napoleon. But that's afterwards. We gotta focus on Alexander the Great, and let's get to it, guys. Get comfy and let's rock and roll.
At the age of just 22, Alexander, ruler of the small Greek kingdom of Macedonia, had led an invasion of the vast Persian Empire. After a string of victories, he smashed Persian military power at the Battle of Gaugamela and took the Persian throne for himself.
Right.
Now, in 330 BC, Alexander continued his march east. His goal...
Sorry, did I say at the beginning of the video he's going to continue going west? I'm sorry, I meant east. My bad.
His goal, to find and kill Bessus, a Persian usurper claiming to be the rightful king, and to subjugate the empire's eastern provinces.
Yeah.
Alexander headed first for Aria, today part of Afghanistan, where the Persian governor Satibarzanes had launched...
I'm sorry, it kind of helps put it to scale, like when they outline all this, like Afghanistan, Pakistan, Iran, because, you look at that like, wow, it's a lot of land, but kind of think like, where exactly is that? And that definitely helps out to basically show like how big of land they're covering right now. So I'm glad they did that.
Where the Persian governor Satibarzanes had launched a revolt after initially pretending to submit to Alexander. The rebellion was crushed and Satibarzanes killed in single combat by a Greek cavalry officer.
Single combat, nice.
Nearby, Alexander founded the city of Alexandria Ariana, modern Herat, one of around a dozen cities that Alexander would eventually found, almost all bearing his name. Alexander marched on to Frada. The Macedonian court had a long tradition of plots and assassination. 6 years before, Alexander's own father, King Philip, had been murdered by his bodyguard.
Right.
He was now informed that Philotas, commander of his companion cavalry, had uncovered a plot to assassinate Alexander, but kept it secret.
Really?
Philotas and his father Parmenion were among the most respected of Alexander's commanders and had played crucial roles in all his great victories. But when Philotas confessed, under torture, Alexander had him executed, then sent assassins back to Ecbatana, where Parmenion was governor, to kill him before he even heard of his son's...
I just want to say, like, he confessed under torture. I mean, if you're being tortured, you're going to confess to anything anyway. Like, I'll tell you what you want to know just to stop the pain. But I'm sorry. But dang, like he ruled all this, and they're still trying to stab him. Like, wow.
Kill him before he even heard of his son's death, and had a chance to turn against Alexander.
Wow.
In 329, Alexander resumed his pursuit of Bessus. En route, he founded the city of Alexandria Arachosia, modern Kandahar in southern Afghanistan. As he reached Kunduz, Bessus was betrayed by his own men and handed over in chains. Alexander sent him back to Persia for execution as a kingslayer. Alexander pushed on into modern Tajikistan, where the Sogdians rose up against him. He had to fight off attacks by local tribes and take several towns by assault. On the banks of the Jaxartes River, he founded the city of Alexandria Escate, meaning Alexandria the furthest, so named because he had, at last, reached the limit of the Persian Empire.
Wow, that's crazy.
This frontier was frequently raided by nomads, known to the Greeks as Scythians. Alexander lured them into a decisive battle near the Jaxartes.
Okay. Oh, we get to see a battle.
The result was a crushing victory for the Macedonian king that put an end to the raids. But fighting against Bactrian and Sogdian tribes continued, frustrating Alexander and tying him down in a difficult guerrilla war.
Yep.
By now, many of the Macedonian troops were unhappy with Alexander. Most had not seen their homes in years, but their king seemed bent on conquest without end. What was worse, he'd begun to adopt the rituals and dress of their defeated Persian enemy, customs they viewed as effeminate and decadent.
I can see that. I mean, you're a warrior, gone for years. Okay, man, we did all this. I did all this for my king, and you just want to go see your family. Like, maybe take a little bit of time off, go see your family, and then go back out and conquer the rest of the world. I don't know. Obviously, that doesn't happen, but I can understand the warriors, their point of view.
At Marakanda, modern Samarkand, after a furious, drunken argument, Alexander killed Clytus the Black. Clytus had been one of Alexander's best generals, and the man who'd saved his life at the Battle of the Granicus.
Oh, wow.
Alexander was full of remorse, but his growing arrogance was alienating more and more old comrades. When he tried to make his countrymen perform the traditional Persian ritual of proskynesis, prostrating themselves before the king, he crossed a line.
What?
To Greeks, this was blasphemy. Only a god was worthy of such respect, and Alexander was forced to back down.
Wow. That's
In
insane.
Bactria, another plot to assassinate Alexander was uncovered. This time the ringleader was a royal page, one of the sons of Macedonian nobility who attended the king. Hermolaus had become murderously bitter towards Alexander over a perceived injustice. He and his accomplices were tortured and then stoned to death. Callisthenes, Alexander's official historian, was also implicated in the conspiracy. He was thrown in prison, where he later died. That summer, in 327, according to legend, Alexander became captivated by the beauty of Roxana, daughter of a Bactrian lord. Their marriage was also a sound political move, helping to end local revolt against his rule, and allowing him to continue his advance into modern Pakistan and India.
Too big. Edge of the world.
Alexander now prepared to subdue the Persian Empire's most eastern provinces, which had yet to recognize his kingship. To do so, he would first have to cross the Hindu Kush mountains and reach the Indus River valley. Advancing in two columns, his army won a series of skirmishes against the Aspasi and Asakani as they fought their way into what's now the Swat Valley of northern Pakistan. After a fierce siege, Alexander took the Asakanian capital of Masaga. According to legend, it was ruled by a beautiful queen, Cleophas, who bore Alexander a son and was allowed to keep her throne.
Wow.
The ruler of Taxila, near modern Islamabad, had formed an alliance with Alexander. Together, they marched to face Porus, king of Paravas, at the Battle of the Hydaspes.
Here we go.
It was Alexander's costliest battle, as Porus's war elephants inflicted terrible casualties amongst the Greeks.
That's insane.
But despite Porus's fearless leadership, the battle ended in a decisive victory for Alexander, winning him control of the Punjab. Alexander wanted to push on into India to reach the...
It's so cool how they have the elephants and the visuals and the fighting. It's just so cool. How intimidating that's got to be to get trampled on.
On into India to reach the great river, which ancient Greek geographers said formed the edge of the world. But at the river Hyphasis, known today as the Bias, his army mutinied. His men had marched thousands of miles, fought countless battles, and not seen their homes in 8 years. They'd heard rumors of gigantic armies waiting for them in India. They refused to go any further.
Can't blame them, really.
Alexander was furious, but had to turn the army around. He followed the rivers of the Punjab to the sea, a journey that took 10 months. On the way, he defeated the Malians, but while leading the assault on their capital, was wounded in the chest and nearly killed.
Nearly.
On reaching the coast, part of the army under Nearchus boarded ships and returned to Persia by sea, sailing through the Straits of Hormuz and entering the Persian Gulf. It was one of the great ancient voyages of exploration, as these waters had been previously unknown to Greeks.
Interesting.
Meanwhile, Alexander led the rest of the army back by land through the Gedrosian Desert, today in southern Pakistan. But extreme heat and shortages of food and water led to terrible suffering and many deaths among his army. On his return to Persia, Alexander executed several of his viceroys and governors, men accused of ruling unjustly and robbing temples and tombs during his long absence in the east. At Susa, he arranged a magnificent...
I mean, you got to do that, I guess, as a ruler. You know, you got to put your foot down, you know, or or else people just walk all over you, you know? I guess that's how it was back then.
At Susa, he arranged a magnificent mass marriage of Macedonian officers to 80 Persian noblewomen to strengthen bonds between his two kingdoms. Alexander himself married 2 Persian princesses. He also paid all his soldiers' debts and ordered 30,000 youths from across the empire to be trained in the Macedonian art of war.
Ah, smart though.
But at Opis, his Macedonian troops mutinied. They were offended by Alexander's apparent preference for Persian advisors and Persian ways. Alexander had the ringleaders executed and made a speech to the men reminding them of the glories they'd won together, and leading eventually to an emotional reconciliation.
Okay.
At Ecbatana, Alexander's closest and most trusted friend, Hephaestion, died of fever.
Aww.
The king was grief-stricken, went days without eating, and ordered a period of public mourning across the empire.
That had to be rough.
Alexander waged a successful campaign against the mountain raiders of Kossia, who not even the Persian kings had been able to subdue. Returning to Babylon, he was met by embassies from distant peoples, come to recognize his greatness. Ethiopians, Libyans, European Scythians, Lucanians, Etruscans,
Wow.
Gauls, and Iberians. Alexander's Bactrian wife, Roxana, was now pregnant. But as he planned his next campaign to Arabia and beyond, he developed a sudden fever and died days later, aged just 32.
Damn.
The cause of Alexander's death has never been established. It may have been malaria, cholera, typhus, or poison.
Wonder which one. There you go, like, you know, Alexander the Great, you know, I'm sure he would have wanted to go down in battle, you know, with his, you know, sword up in the air, you know, but instead he dies from a fever, and you never know, it could have been poison. Obviously, there's a lot of people, you know, against him, or, you know, or wanted to stop this war and go home, so you never know. Or like the traditions they had, he was kind of going to the other side, and they weren't happy with that. So there's a lot going on to where people would want to poison him. We'll never know, though. We'll never know.
Alexander died undefeated in battle. His reputation as a brilliant, fearless, and daring military commander remains undimmed. His decade-long campaign created one of the largest empires ever known, stretching from Greece to Pakistan. But it was vast and unstable, held together only by his own brilliance and name. Alexander left no plans for his succession, and his generals soon began fighting among themselves to carve out their own empires. In the Wars of the Successors, Alexander's widow Roxana and his young son were murdered.
Yep, obviously.
His own gold sarcophagus, en route to Macedonia for burial, was hijacked and ended up in Alexandria in Egypt. Today, its location remains one of the world's great unsolved mysteries.
Wow.
Few men have ever had such an impact on the course of history as Alexander the Great. The breathtaking achievements of his short life ushered in the Hellenistic Age, as Greek ideas spread across the territory of his former empire, fusing with local traditions to trigger new developments in art, science, government, and language. Some of the successor kingdoms to his great empire were short-lived. Others endured for centuries. But all, in turn, would fall to new forces. And in the West, to the rising power of Rome.
Yeah. That'd be a good series.
Research and artwork for this video comes...
Wow. Why would you hijack like a dead man's coffin? Why would you do that? and then nobody knows where he is. That's crazy. But wow, obviously there wasn't, excuse me, I mean, really any battles. I mean, there was, but we didn't get a whole lot of visual. But we got, basically we got, it was this whole episode kind of like the downfall, start of the downfall of, of Alexander. The last three parts are basically the highs. He conquered everything. I mean, I guess, he conquered in this one, but this episode, everyone's starting to turn against him. He's getting like power hungry and, wanted that, he's wanted that name of, the conqueror of the world or whatnot. But wow, he conquered a lot of land, man. Wow. He went down in history, man. They kept him in the history books, so wow. What do you guys think of this series? Definitely awesome. Might be like my most favorite series I've done so far on YouTube. I really enjoyed it. I really enjoy this channel in general. And I think I'm going to head to Napoleon now. I think so. I seen there's a lot of videos on Napoleon, so I'm not sure how many of them are Napoleon at war. But I'll get to that. I'll get to that. But definitely, thank you guys for. Please hit the like and subscribe, please, guys. But thank you guys for watching along with me. And yes, I really enjoyed this. I'm sure I'll end up, who knows, may do like way down the line, do some more Alexander the Great stuff, like different stuff on him maybe. But as of right now, I really enjoyed it, and thank you guys for watching, and hope to catch you guys in future series and future videos. And yeah, I had a lot of fun. Thank you very much, guys, for watching. Peace.